that game finished with Galarza with the early goal in this one. But one of the big talking points, of course, has to be the red card for Miguel Almiron. We will get to that in just a moment. But US clinching Group D after 10-man Paraguay did defeat Turkey. It's definitely benefited them due to the fact that this is an expanded format, though. We want to talk about now that game against Turkey doesn't matter like we thought it might for the United States. We knew it was going to be the last game in the group for them. So obviously you know they're not going to put full force into that game as they might have if something more was riding on it. So Jurgen, it got us wondering how you actually deal with that wait time in between, because that's something we're going to be seeing now in this expanded format. Like, as a manager, what are you doing with your players? Because it's going to be, what, July 1st until they're playing a game that really matters again in the tournament now?
It is a very tricky one. You know, on one side, you want to give the players that haven't played much minutes so far a chance to play a World Cup game, you know, and prove themselves and rest the other ones and then start really fresh the knockout phase. On the other side, there's always then the risk, you know, if you now utilize too many of the bench players, then you kind of, you lose the momentum. You lose also a little bit the rhythm. And I personally always prefer to bring the strongest 11 I have available game per game, because I want them to have a rhythm and I want them to fight also the moment of getting tired. The tiredness is an issue that you have to go through and experience this game by game by game. So now with this game against Turkey, it's really tricky. And so, yeah, I'm curious to see what Mauricio Pochettino is doing there.
Yeah, it is interesting.
It is. I agree wholly with Jurgen, and he can probably remember the time when in the 2006 World Cup, Argentina, I think, had won their first two games, and they were the best team in the tournament. They'd played brilliantly, and they rested all their players for the third game, and they lost their momentum. I think they played Jurgen's Germany in the next round, and Germany beat them on penalties, if I'm not mistaken. But all the momentum went out of Argentina, who had played brilliantly for the first two games, changed all the players, and it changed the momentum going into the next round. Yeah,
and you wonder about it as a player point of view, how to stay up for everything that's ahead with that wait in between.
Yeah, quite possibly. But I think this is interesting because I believe there are some players who are already on a yellow card for the USA. So I'm with Jurgen that you want to put out a strong team, especially because you're hosting this whole event. Like, all the fans are going to be coming to that third game, even though they know they qualified. They want to see something positive. They want to, like, have that energy around it again. But what happens if, for example, if, like, Tyler Adams picks up another yellow card? Then before you know it, he's missing the knockout game. And this game, obviously, every game essentially does matter. And I wonder also what the approach from Turkey will be, because for them, they've essentially been in a position where they've got nothing but pride left to play for. But maybe that means they go into this game and they're really, really combative.
Having seen the two Turkey games, they could have played for another 90 minutes. They wouldn't have scored. You could tell right from the start of the Australia game that they didn't have any penetration. They had lots of shots. They had lots of possession. But when balls were coming in the box, the crosses weren't good enough. They didn't have enough players arriving in the box. There was not enough quality in the top third of the field, even with Arda Güler playing. So it's still a game that the United States should win.
Yeah, I'd just be concerned if, say, for this next week leading up to the next game, they became this atmosphere and energy like the next game didn't matter. Because from when you get that once, that might stick with the team for the rest of the tournament. So I think as long as Pochettino is keeping them honest, keeping them serious, knowing that there's a value in every game that they play.
Hello and welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. Kane Murray, Stuart Robson and Nathan Manua here they have in won the the studio. group, we've been able to look at who their potential next opponents would be, and there's a percentage on this as well. These are current third place holders in each group, so right now the percentage chance of it being Bosnia and Herzegovina is the highest, followed by Jordan, Senegal, Ecuador, and then Japan with the lower percentage right now. It will be a third place finishing team. It's for them something that you'd look at and think, okay, this is the next game that we could be winning too, surely, Jurgen.
I don't think that they look at this. I mean, I wouldn't, to be honest, you know, because first I got to get the job done, finishing the group, and then, you know, there's so much still movement for the third place spot in all the groups that I wouldn't look at that kind of a ranking at the moment. It's gonna change obviously dramatically once you get out of the group phase. A new tournament will start, because a knockout game is just like a final. So you're going to go from final to final to final, and hopefully you're going to go all the way till the end. But I would not look at that kind of list now and think, okay, maybe Bosnia Herzegovina, we are better, whatever. But well, they just left Italy at home, you know. And then you go down the ranking. There's a reason why these teams are here. They're all good teams. So there's no team that you can underestimate in the knockout phase, no matter if they are finishing their group in third place or not.
Yeah, when you say these group finishes, it would be US getting a third place team. Other group winners would get a second place team. It's the nature of how the tournament's been set up that it could be a more favourable draw so that the host nations will play their games at home. Is that fair?
I don't know.
Well, is it fair?
What is fair? Fair is subjective, isn't it?
You're at home, so yeah, it's an advantage. Having a World Cup in your own country is always an advantage.
Because you're naturally qualified anyway.
And if you look over the years, they haven't always won it, but if you look over the years, some of the countries have had their best times when they've been on home soil. England have only won the World Cup once on home soil. They got to the European Championship final on home soil. That's when teams have their best opportunities. Yet
Spain, Brazil and Argentina could all face a second place team even if they win their groups.
Unfortunately, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. But what I would say, like the third place finishers, obviously Jurgen's not really looking into it too much, but whichever team finishes third, like you arrive there possibly with some level of momentum. And I think the examples that stick in my mind, the 2016 Euros, Portugal qualified out of the group third. They drew 3 group games and won the whole thing. And I think my memory is a long time ago. In it was 1982. The Italians.
Now we're going back.
The Italians.
I don't remember that.
I think drew 3 games, got 3 points, and got through as the third place team, and went on to win it against Germany.
So there's no guarantee that that's going to be easier, because sometimes it depends on the nature of the group that they're in.
So, okay, let's move on to talk about Miguel Almiron, who became the first player sent off for covering his mouth. This is a new rule. It's been brought in for the World Cup. And we just wonder how this all plays out. Jurgen, when you look at new rules and you're coming into a tournament like this, you're wondering, does this player know that this is happening? Is there a chance he forgot that this is now a rule and he wasn't paying attention? Like, how do you ensure that the players know any new rules coming into a tournament?
The players are being briefed by a FIFA official before the tournament. They're coming in and they explain those new rules and have a talk in front of the whole team. It's actually quite a bit of a serious lecture, but let's put it that way. So obviously he knew, but I think in this moment when he did that, he forgot it. He simply forgot it. Otherwise, he's not doing that. So it's whatever rule you kind of change, it will be always a little bit of a time issue until you really kind of fully implement it in your own system. And when you're on the field and when things happen so quickly, you're so full of energy, full of emotions. And sometimes you don't think clear. That's human as well. And I just think he simply forgot that new rule, and now he ran into a red card.
It's got to be incredibly frustrating, though, Jurgen, if you're the coach of Miguel Almiron, to see this happening and thinking you forgot at this level right now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, as a coach, you think, no, please, not what, But at the end, they won the game. They were defending like heroes, the rest of the game. It was a long, suffering time there for Paraguay. I think Turkey, we talked about it. They actually dominated both games and lost both games because they were not able to put the ball in the back of the net, which with players like Yildiz and Güler, they have the players that can do that. Maybe they do it against the US because last year they had a friendly with the US that Turkey won 5-0, if I'm not mistaken. So, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. But with Miguel Almiron, it's a lecture for him. As long as the team advances to the next round, I think his coach will forgive him.
I love that Jurgen politely said that these meetings are very, very boring.
They're rubbish.
So why are you paying attention?
Yeah, well, this is the story of the student that paid attention, because that's how you did pay attention. It was the player for Turkey. He's like, referee, he's covered his mouth. Because he's paid attention to that lecture. And I've got to say, by the way, for Miguel Almiron, I played in MLS with him. Fantastic player. To see him go to England, all that stuff was great. But his legacy in this tournament, especially if they go out, so he got that red card just recently, Do you know what happened in the first game with him? Another rules thing which has hit him. He dived over Tim Ream. Tim Ream got a yellow card. They checked the VAR. They overturned the yellow card for Tim Ream and gave it to Miguel Almiron. So he is suffering with these new rules.
He fell asleep in the
I was
meeting.
just gonna say,
He was the one that he wasn't very
there.
good at school. He couldn't stay awake. He had ADHD, I think. That's what it was.
Something was going on outside the window. He's like, oh, wow.
You'll take too long on a throw-in next or something like that and get a yellow card
We were
for
talking
that.
to our co-pundit. Shaka said he'd have been asleep after the first 10 minutes of the... But mind you, he goes to sleep over most things, doesn't he?
Fair.
Yeah, Shaka does. Shaka could sleep anywhere. He could sleep on a clothesline. Anyway, make sure to stay up to date with everything else that's going on in the World Cup over on our YouTube channel. You'll get delights like this. Ali Moreno jumping on the USA bandwagon.